Let you in on an aspect of the world that you're not normally accustomed to.
I could have been a totally different person.
Yeah, right now.
Since 12 hours ago.
Could have been wearing a business suit today. Who knows?
With a fanny pack.
With a fanny pack. Just classing up the joint.
That's a fantastic idea.
It's the only kind of ideas I have, sir.
It's Corner House Chronicles Day.
It's just different enough.
And here's the kicker, boss. They're all the same personality.
They're assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just 1.5 million asshole penguins.
Best part.
I'm going to try and pace it out, so just as you forget about me, I'll just pop in and remind you.
So we want to welcome everybody to episode 48 of the Corner House Chronicles. I'm John.
I'm Jason.
And with us tonight,
it's Ken Belcher.
Ken is here. And we are going to have some fun.
Yes.
Being as you are a professional yarn spinner,
I am.
We are going to get into some stories tonight.
The beauty of being a professional yarn teller is the stories don't necessarily have to be true.
Oh, no.
But with me, my stories, most of them are. And that's the sad part of it, is the experiences you have just as, I've been there.
Life's different for everybody.
Yeah.
It's like, I was a garbage man in Detroit.
That has a lot of stories right there.
Oh my God,
when was the year?
Let's see, I graduated in 1988, and
okay.
My first job, like other than being the hoodlum at the drugstore, was I started working on motorcycles, and started working at an import store over in Plymouth, and but that was a dog and pony show. That was an eye opener for me.
Yeah,
because I'd always been into motorcycles. I got a real bad motorcycle wreck when I was 13. I had a spinal concussion, and I couldn't move for like hours. And my parents were wherever parents are when you're 13, and you shouldn't be riding a motorcycle in the dirt. So I wrecked really bad. The motorcycle landed on me, and the guy I was riding with, his dad came with the van, picked me up, and threw me in the van and took me home. And laid me on the couch, and then he called my dad or my mom or something. I just remember the ambulance getting there, strapped me on the thing, and taking me to the hospital. I couldn't move, so I was a little terrified, But after that, my dad sold my motorcycles and everything, and I was a little devastated by that because that had been my whole life up until that point in time. I wasn't a football guy. I wasn't a hockey guy. I wasn't I was motorcycles and getting, like, kids in my neighborhood were really poor. There wasn't a lot of guys in my neighborhood that had a lot of money. So we would go and garbage pick parts for bikes, and we'd put bikes together, and I'd give them to friends and stuff so I could have guys to ride around with.
Yeah,
because,
for sure.
Everybody needs some dudes to ride around with. I mean, that's...
Get kind of boring being out there by yourself.
Yeah.
So, we did that, and then, so my first job was in 88. And then I did that job, and like I said, it was a dog and pony show. But after that, the dealership actually ended up closing, and I went to work for the garbage company. So that would have been 1990.
That's an interesting time to be working in Detroit.
I wasn't like a residential guy. I wasn't the guy that picked up the trash cans.
Yeah.
I was the guy that would drive into the dumpsters, and I wasn't... It started. It was really weird.
So you're at like convenience stores and fucking.
Oh my God!
Industrial
buildings and
I'm over off of Livernois and Linden. I'm over off of Warren. I'm McGraw, Dragoon. These side roads, and that back then it was brutal. I mean, I got mugged.
Oh yeah.
Over off of Linden, I got out to do a dumpster, like a compactor, and I was undoing the buckles, and then all of a sudden I woke up and face first in the snow, and I was like, what the hell? Had a big knot on my head, ended up getting like 8 stitches, and the guy was standing over me, had a golf club, hit me in the back of the head with a golf club, and he took $3 out of my pocket and a gold earring I had, and that was it, and I got robbed for that.
No shit.
Oh,
and then they wouldn't let you carry guns back then, so I did that, and I was
$3, huh?
$3. I always kept money in my boot, and I always kept a couple dollars in my pocket, because if I ever got mugged,
then you have something.
Give me what's in your pockets, right?
Yeah.
You never check your boots or none of that stuff. So.
Unless they steal the boots.
Yeah. So they're like, this motherfucker.
I did that. I did that for a while. I was office manager there, and then when They say that the garbage business is, kind of a front for another business, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well,
Sopranos.
I remember I was off the road and I was actually doing dispatch and office work. I was an office route manager at the time, and these 8 big black limos pull into the parking lot, and this garbage company was a small one over there by the airport. There was like eight black limos pull in there, and these guys get out in like $1,000 suits, and they're all goons.
Yeah.
And they come in and they're like, "Everybody out, but you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I sat down. He's like,
"What's up, guys?"
You come to work at this time. You make sure these trucks go out. That's it. We'll have you an office manager in a couple of weeks. I'm like, all right. So I ran that office with all those truck drivers. And it went from being one name to all of a sudden a big wig name, and they just took it over. And that was my first experience with something like corporate takeover. It was really bizarre. But after that, after they brought everybody in, I showed everybody what to do on how to make sure the routes were all synced and everything. They're like, all right, you can go back to driving. I'm like, oh, man, I just got off the road. So I did it probably about 2 years after that. There was a chain of events that happened that basically made me decide I no longer wanted to be a garbologist. The first, other than getting mugged and fighting off hookers, I mean, every day there was this one toothless woman that would constantly harass me, and she'd be like, "I suck your dick for $20," and I'm thinking, you got a tooth in your head, you're not going to touch me. Right. She's like, how about $250? I mean, I talked her down one day. I had the radio. I clicked the radio on so all the guys could hear me talking to her. And she started off at $20. And by the time I was leaving, she was almost going to pay me. So I shut it off. And these guys were like, "Oh, that's the best one yet." But you wish you would have recorded that kind of stuff, because that's
right.
That's social media gold.
That's internet gold,
especially all these years later. Holy shit!
But there's 3 events that happened to me that were not only career changing, but they were life changing. They were making me question what I was doing. The first one was, of course, getting mugged.
That'll have an impact for sure.
The second one was probably not the funniest, and I guess it was funny because. So, the beauty of dumpsters in the summertime is they could be hobo condos, because they go.
I can see where this is going right now.
Yeah. So, hobo condos, they would go in there, and what they would do is they'd layer up in there. They'd get one guy, and then one guy would put a cardboard on, and another guy would lay on top, so they could generate some heat in there, whatever. So I knew that there was a hobo condo right there at Linden, right before you get to Grand River, kind of in there. And I knew that when I pulled into that dumpster at 2 o'clock in the morning, especially if it was raining, I had to pick it up and slam it a couple times because I needed the hobos to vacate.
Yeah, you got to get out for a minute.
Right. So it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Housekeeping.
Yeah, the wrong way. So I pull in, I get the dumpster up in the air, and they had a heavy dude would jump up and down on the dumpster to compress the trash and get as much trash in there as they could. So I used to have to shake it really good to get everything out of it. So I'm shaking it. I start setting the dumpster down, and I hear a thump on top of the cab of the truck, and I'm thinking,
oh god,
oh shit, a raccoon fell out, and then I see a leg hanging. And I'm like, oh, I dumped a bum. Oh man. And then he rolls off the cab, bounces off the bumper, and hits the ground. And I'm thinking, oh man, I killed this guy. So I get out.
You can't set the dumpster down because he's laying there, right?
He's laying there. So I get out. I got my gloves on because I don't want to touch him. I don't know this guy.
Right. He just fell out of a dumpster.
And he's laying there. He's looking at me. He's an old black man. Oh. He's got to be at the. He probably was only 20, but he looked like he was 60.
Oh, okay.
And he only had one leg.
Oh, so the only leg was the one hanging over the windshield.
Yeah, the only one.
So that was the catalyst. Like, that was too much weight.
Right.
It
sent him over the edge. So he's laying there on the ground. He's bleeding from like his eyes and his ears because I'm sure he took a beating in there. How he didn't end up in the truck, he was hanging on for dear life. I don't know what he was hanging on to. So I get down there. I'm like, hey, man, are you all right? He's like, hey, can you go in the back there and get my crutches? I'm like, dude, them crutches are gone.
Right.
I ain't going in there to get those crutches. This is what I'm going to do for you, though. I'm going to go ahead and make a phone call and get you a nice warm bed, place to sleep, and maybe they'll give you some new crutches. He's like, no, man, just give me $25 for the bus. I said, no, I'm not going to give you $25 for the bus. So I called the dispatcher. I was like, hey, I dumped a bum. You got to get the EMS out here. You got to call 911. Whatever you got to do, get them out here. So cops come out there, and it's like, they're whatever. They just dumped a bum. To them, it's no big deal. Yeah. To me, it's like life-altering. Huh? Okay. I could have killed this man.
Right.
You know?
For a minute, I'm sure you thought you did.
For a minute, I thought I did. So,
or possibly a dead body just fell on your truck.
There's a funny story about that. So he goes and he gets in the truck, and I'm asking the EMS. I'm like, hey, he's gonna be all right? Where are you taking him? He's like, we take him over downtown Detroit. He'll be fine. He'll get a nice warm bed. He'll get a place to sleep. He'll get some, I said, well, his crutches are in the bed of that truck right there, in that garbage truck, and I guarantee you I ain't going in there to get them unless you're going to go in there and get them. His crutches are gone. He's like, nah, they'll probably just give him some new crutches.
All
okay.
Right.
Keyword.
Probably.
So 2 weeks later, I'm going down West Grand Boulevard, and I hear I'm stopped at a dumpster, and I'm dumping it. And it's not too far from where I dumped that other dumpster with the bum in it. And I hear somebody holler real loud. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And I look over, and there's that guy that I dumped in the dumpster. He no longer has crutches. He's got the
little cane.
The walker. He's got a walker.
Okay.
And on the walker, he's got freaking mirrors off of it, and he's got like little curb feelers on it, and he's just as happy as can be. He's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, you doing all right? You all right? He's like, oh, yeah, man, don't worry about it. We're cool. I'm like, I didn't mean to dump you.
Right.
You should have been in the damn dumpster, but whatever. So that was like life-altering at that point. I knew that I was going to have to make a career change at some point, and that career change came about a month later. The decision to make the career change.
Okay.
I was still working on motorcycles at night, or during the day, and I was doing garbage at night, and I was really burned out. And the call come through on the radio that one of my customers had finally paid their bill, and it was a fruit stand. And it was the end. It was the end of summer. And they hadn't paid their bill all summer.
They've been waiting.
And I'd been driving by it, and his shit had just been piling up.
Like in the cartoons, you could see the stench coming off the top.
It was pretty brutal. It was pretty brutal. So I said, all right, I'll go over there. I said, but I'm not moving all this trash out of the way to get to the dumpster. And dispatch comes back and goes, well, you got to move all of it out of the way because he paid his bill in full. So we got it.
Take care of them now.
We're going to dump it, and they're going to come out, and they're going to refill it, and you're going to dump it until it's all cleaned up because the city gave him a huge fine.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right. So I get over there. Nobody's there. Place is closed. It doesn't look like anybody's even been there. So I'm like, you know what? I could get on the radio and I could be bitching and complaining, but as long as it would take me to complain about it, I could just do it and get it done and get on my way.
Right.
So I put my gloves on, and there's a bunch of trash in front of the dumpster. So I stick my hands in there because I'm just scooting the stuff out of the way. I'm not reloading it, but I'm going to get this dumpster empty. So I stick my hands in there, and I start to feel something, and I'm push a little bit, and I hear a pop. I'm like, I hope that was a watermelon. So I start moving trash out of the way, and I look, and I pull my gloves back, and my gloves are just covered in gore. And I'm like,
you stuck your finger in an eye socket, didn't you?
In a chest cavity, a rotted chest cavity.
Oh my God!
It just went in for a half a second, and I thought I felt something. I pulled back. I dropped my gloves. I called my boss. I said, I'm done. I left the truck there, tapped out, said, I'm done. Call the girl, come get me. Girl that I don't even remember her name now.
Oh, God.
I just said, hey, I just quit my job. You need to come get me. So she's like, really? All right, where you at? I'm like, I called him in. I said, there's a dead body in front of that dumpster. I'm done. I didn't even wait for the police. I was gone. But I had to get I got a phone call that I had to go back and fill out paperwork.
And tell them what happened.
Yeah. And there was a lot of stuff like that with the trash. Like, there was funny stories though too. Well, not really funny, but I used to dump a paper company on Michigan Avenue. It was like had a truck well or whatever. And I would go in there and dump it. In the wintertime, all the bums would be on the side, and they had a fire, and they had all these car chairs, and they would have a fire going. And it looks like they were always cooking something. And I didn't really know what they were cooking, but I went into the dump, this paper company, and I seen a couple of them guys sneak in behind me when I had the gate open. And they're in there, and they got these ice balls, and they're knocking these damn pigeons out of the ceiling, and they're snatching these pigeons up, and they're running out. They're waving at me, so I guess they was eating the pigeons.
Oh, wow. City chicken.
City chicken. And that was the final for me. After that, I went to do something else. So the garbage company.
I don't blame you on that one. That's a solid
garbage
call.
companies are they say once you get the garbologist in your system, you're just there forever. For me, at that point, that was a life altering experience. I had a few after that would be considered life altering, but that one, I've never had my hands inside of a cadaver before, but that was probably the closest I ever want to go back to that.
Oh my God,
that changed me forever.
When you said pop, I figured eye socket. That was the first place my brain went. Was like, oh my God.
He must have been laying on his side, and I got him good between a couple ribs. And It was pretty brutal.
And it's not like you could smell it with all that fucking vegetables and fruit and shit.
Oh, the stench was so brutal that he probably went in there. It was cold one night or something. Had eating some of the food, or whatever. Yeah, so that was. I'm sure nowadays it's a little different, but back then it was like the wild, wild west with, because we were working 23 hours a day. You'd sleep in your truck for an hour, and then you go right back on the road. And now they got laws where you can't do that. But man, the guys make a ton of money doing it. But who wants that? God, that was the most awful job I've ever had in my life. And people say, awful jobs build character. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It can also break your character too.
Oh yeah, it could change you real quick.
I had a guy that worked for me. He was a roll-off driver, so he did the construction dumpsters.
All right.
Okay.
I sent him out to a stop, and he was a big guy. Like he was really, really big, and he went out to pick up this dumpster, and it was at a grain farm. So I don't know what they were using it for, but whatever. So he goes out there at 6:00 in the morning, and I don't hear anything from him for hours. And it's like just a snatch and grab. You drop a can, pick a can, go, dump it, whatever.
Right.
I get a phone call. Dispatch tells me, hey, there's a phone call for you on whatever line. So I pick it up and I say, I introduce myself and thanks for calling, dispose of whatever. Yeah, your truck. I got a truck out here. But no driver, and it's been idling for like 6 hours. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's been idling for 6 hours. I said, well, can you go out there and holler for the guy, see if he's anywhere out there? So he goes out there and hollers for him. He hollers again and hollers again. He's like, it's funny. I can hear something. I can hear somebody, but I can't find anybody. And this was a big dude. The truck driver was a big dude.
Right.
I'm thinking, I don't even going to miss that guy. So, and I had a couple problems with him. Being as big as he was, some situations he got into that weren't the greatest. But I get in my company car, I drive out to the site, and I'm walking around, and I'm like, hey, I start banging on the can, and I hear on the can. I'm thinking, oh, he fell in the can.
Oh,
so
shit.
I climb up in the can, and the can is filled with, like, some kind of byproduct of grain, whatever, and he's up to his neck. He can't move. He's
like quicksand?
Like like you would think quicksand was going to be way bigger of a problem than it was when you were a kid. Well, this guy actually encountered something similar, and he was about ready to off it. He was going to be offed if we didn't get him out of that can. So
you got to think he's fucking fatigued as hell, trying to just move around.
It was
and,
like trying
stay.
to tread water.
Yeah. Holy shit.
We got a bucket come out, and they got a strap around him and lifted him up out of there with it, and got him down. But he was dehydrated. Yeah. And you had to call EMS, and he was so big they couldn't get him on a stretcher.
Oh my goodness!
Fuck.
Yeah, because he was a big dude.
Right.
This dude was so big. He was a great guy, happy, whatever. Just
a big fella.
Yeah. He went. He called me at work. He said, "Hey, can you bring me another pair of pants?" I'm like, "What'd you do? Rip your pants?" He's like, "Nah, I'm at this business, and I went in to use the bathroom. I sat down on a toilet to take a dump." and I broke the toilet. I'm like, you broke the toilet? Like, it doesn't flush anymore? He's like, no, it broke.
Shattered.
And everything dumped into my And I'm like, oh, man, really? So what, we got to pay for a toilet now, too? He's like,
no.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to pay for a toilet. So,
Damn.
Yeah. But, that's one of those jobs where you have to take it with a grain of salt because there's especially in a city like Detroit, at that time, there was so much degradation and so much.
Yeah.
The people were different, though, too. It's like there's no consideration or common decency or even.
Oh, like you said, it's like the Wild West.
Yeah. Like you pull into an alley to dump a dumpster, and I watch some woman get out of her Escort wearing a muumuu and just crap all over the alleyway and get right back in her car and drive off. Like it's like Detroit's my toilet. I can go wherever I want. So, for years I didn't go downtown after that because after I had worked down there and drove around and
you knew too much.
And I mean, I wasn't like Pez where I had a hobo sleeping in my car or whatever, but get in a fight with a homeless guy because he's sleeping in your car. But I don't remember when Casey would never lock his doors anyways. But I don't know. It's just so I toned off of Detroit. I go down there now. It's not a big deal, but I remember going to. I used to dump Jimbo's, and Jimbo's was a bar. It's now Midtown.
Okay.
But it was called something else before then.
Uh-huh.
And Jimbo's is still there. But back when I was dumping it, I was real good friends with the guy that owned it at the time. So I would dump his trash for free lots of times, and that's where all the ladies of the night would hang out. And there used to be a Banning Hotel behind it, and you could see the lights and hear the generators running in those little windowed hotel. Because women were working in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and they had the extension cords run or whatever. But it was Cass Quarter was totally different back then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It was a great time, but so I stayed away from downtown.
Now you
Pretty
go
much
down
anymore.
there with a couple of hours, like
Yeah.
section off a night and get out.
Yeah, but it's different down there now. It's
Oh,
not
it's
like
completely different.
It's not like it was. I mean, you still got the outskirts where the areas are all
seedy,
urban development. It's just doing gardens and people or whatever. But but it's like any big town. Like I lived in Phoenix for 2 years, and when I lost my mind for a while, quit my job, and decided that a lot of bad things had happened, as they do in your normal everyday life. I decided to quit my job and just go. And I sold everything I owned except my motorcycles. I left one of them at my parents'. I loaded up the other one. And a funny story on how I quit that job. I was a crew leader for Hayes Lemire's, which is a subsidiary of Kelsey Hayes. And I was a crew leader on that. And I had 5 weeks vacation. So
I see where this is going.
Yep.
So me and a buddy of mine, I decided I was going to use my 5 weeks vacation in the summer, and I was going to ride around and do dumb stuff. So I did that, and I come back to work, and I had already planned on quitting, but I didn't know how I was going to do it or when I was going to do it or what I was going to do. So I get back, and I sit down, and there's a stack of papers. Nobody really did my job for 5 weeks.
Awesome.
And I'm just looking at it. Ironically, I didn't have a car. I just had my motorcycle, and it was still packed with all the stuff from the trip I had just got back. So my boss, he comes down. He's like, "How was your vacation?" I was like, "It was great. I quit." He said, "What? You just got back?" I said, I quit." He said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to go out to Phoenix and go to, MMI and learn to work on motorcycles." He goes, "You already know how to work on motorcycles." I said, "Yeah, I know how to work on motorcycles, but in order for me to be a motorcycle mechanic,
certified.
I
Right.
gotta go to this school, whatever." He's like, "You're gonna go throw all this money away to go do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much. 401k tanked." So this is right around time when 9/11 hit, and then 2000, and then everything, the world was supposed to end or whatever, and stuff started falling apart. I was 29 years old, and I had no direction in life, and I said, "You know what?" So I loaded up the bike and took off. And I will say this. For every person out there, at some point in time, it is most beneficial to lose your mind and do something outside of the norm that you would normally do, whether it's just go see a band you never seen. But for me, I lost my mind. I mean, my brain...
Fried.
I was fried. I was cooked.
Right.
And I needed to get...
Unfried.
Exactly. You know, some people say, "Oh,
rebuild.
You were running away from stuff." Well, you know what? Maybe I was.
Probably, yeah.
I needed to.
Yeah.
You're also encountering new and experiencing new shit and starting to build new shit from there.
Right. It's like a cleansing of your brain.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've had all these troubles here and all these trials and tribulations. So now you've wiped yourself clean of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can say it's a religious experience or whatever. But I will tell you this. I learned more about myself losing my mind than I ever did with a clear vision in my head of what I thought I was going to be as opposed to what I am.
Yeah.
So, you know, you take a this and a that with it. So, you know, the beauty of what I do now, working on motorcycles, and it hasn't been so joyful over the past few years because the whole culture has changed. But early on, you know, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have, you know, met Casey and Shannon. I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met Tom. I wouldn't have met any of those guys. And
Right.
So, and there's a lot of guys that, you know, I met from the school, and, you know, I could do a whole segment on just the debauchery that was Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
You've been there, right?
Yeah, I lived in Casa Grande for a while.
oh yeah, and then you know.
I was just gonna say you guys got more in common than
I
you
didn't
thought.
know.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know what a tweaker was till I went out there.
You learn pretty quick.
I was like, the first time I saw a tweaker go into a Whataburger and steal all the creamers and just start chugging them,
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm thinking, it's 98 degrees out. You're drinking creamer and you're wearing 5 pairs of jogging pants.
Or they're just staring at you like sucking down mustard packets and shit.
I
And
know,
you're like,
I know.
okay.
And
How
I'm
you
thinking,
doing, buddy?
or you go under any bridge. I mean, that's where they all hang out at, under the
Yeah.
bridges. You know, it's like they're like, and I felt bad for him. It's like, come on, man. You know,
Make
it's
better
gotta
life
be-
choices.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
You know, in the summertime, it's so
it's
brutal out there. I couldn't imagine.
Trash cans melting, fucking anything plastic, done. Your car is, every car out there is white.
Oh, yeah,
With
yeah,
tan
yeah.
interior.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's not quite a sauna.
so it's not quite as, you'll see like a few guys with like the black truck with the tinted windows. And you're like, that guy's a fucking retard.
Right.
Yeah,
He must
'cause-
blow through his air conditioning, you
Oh.
know, 24/7.
Like you open all the doors and let it kind of air out for a second, crank up the AC, and then hope to God you don't burn your fucking legs and back when you sit down.
Oh yeah. And, you know, out there, it's a whole another world. You wouldn't think it would be that different, but the people, the mentalities. That's kind of like what I was telling John earlier about your guys' show. Is what I like so much about it is just people coming on and telling their stories, or you know, you ask them some questions or whatever. And I was, you know, that's all. People are interesting. Once you get to actually have a conversation with them,
Yeah.
you know, our first reaction, at least for me, and I used to have interactions with my customers a lot that would come in. Now I don't so much anymore because I am a flat rate tech. So the more they talk, the less money I make. So I don't talk to them as much as I used to, but some of the stories that they would tell you are just incredible. You know,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just you're like,
Especially you
"What?"
get your regular people that you know and they keep coming back, and then you get deeper and deeper in their life and just a random, like, being a trash man.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
I would never have guessed you went through, like, somebody just landed on the hood of the fucking, okay.
Yeah,
That's an experience most people don't have.
I'm one of those people. So
you gotta get outside your comfort zone.
Well, I've been outside my own comfort zone quite a few times. Absolutely. Like what you were saying about losing your mind. I used to believe that all my negative energy was stored in my hair. So I would grow my hair out to a certain point, and then I would flip out and chop it all off. And I would wake up the next morning like, okay,
That weight
I'm
is
going to
off.
start over. You know,
Right,
I'm going to do it
right.
different this time. The hair
Like
still grows curly.
baptized.
So,
Yeah.
Right.
and I got to a point where I was like, man, fuck that. That's in my head.
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh,
know,
most
what
things
you're
are.
talking about is completely different, but it was a little
Yeah.
similar, I guess.
Yeah. You know, there's specifics in your life that make you question your decisions. You know, we all have regrets, or
Oh, hell yeah.
you don't go through life without having a regret or two, and that's how you learn. You know,
Right.
if you went through life perfectly the first time, how much fun would that be?
It would be boring as shit.
Right?
Yeah.
So you know, you kind of gotta feel your way out and make mistakes, and that's kind of, you know, seeing these kids nowadays, they're so sheltered, and so, you know, it's hard because social media has kind of taken the mystery out of being a child and running out there and doing stupid things, because
You can access anything.
You can access anything, and you can see, okay, this kid did this and this. I couldn't imagine trying to be a parent right now, raising a kid to be a kid. They've got to grow up quicker and faster. It's like they're going to know, like my nephew can go on a computer and do everything. He have more than I can. These kids are just so tech savvy, but then they get into the world and they don't have the
social skills
the
they
social
don't
skills
have
to comprehend,
or the willingness to go on an adventure or like go do stuff.
Well, like it's like the motorcycling industry, the way it is right now, they're struggling because when we were growing up, it was mini bikes and getting out on the road, and the worst thing I ever wanted to do was sit in a chair and stare at a screen. I wanted to get out there and experience the smells, the feels, talk to people. They don't have to do that now. They can sit in a chair, look at a screen, and they can experience the world through that screen.
Through somebody else's eyes, but it's through that screen.
They do a
Absolutely.
virtual tour of Yellowstone National Park and be like, okay, now I don't have to go.
It's scary. It's really scary because at what point in time do you tell your kid, hey, shut that off, go out there and hit a ball? They're I don't even know if kids do recess anymore. Do kids do recess anymore?
That's a good question.
Yeah, they do up through 5th grade.
Yeah,
but once they get 6th and junior high,
they're never gonna know the joy and the feeling of whacking their skull off of the pavement after falling off the monkey bars and having the goose egg, or getting smacked in the face with dodgeball. I don't even think they allow you to do dodgeball anymore.
I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure they don't for liability reasons.
Right.
You know what? When I was a kid, we used to play dodgeball with this dude, and he had a glass eye. We used to hit him so hard his glass eye would fly out. skip on the floor.
That's how you felt proud. Like, I got him fucking good.
I knocked his eye out.
And that was the sole purpose for playing it. It was to hit that guy hard enough.
You didn't want to be
nobody
on
else.
his
You didn't
team,
want to
right?
be. That was the only reason you wanted to play that game, was to knock that guy's eyeball out. You got those kooky guys from school like that always had like. He would play quarter bounce with that eye, but sometimes he would. Sometimes that eye would be a little goopy because he didn't clean it the night before. So he'd come in with because you get eye boogers or whatever, and if you got like
the pus
a
missing
eye and the orbit just kind of goopy or whatever,
Oh,
you
God.
pop the eyeball in there and the green slime just kind of runs.
Oh my God.
And then you want to go
Jesus.
throw that in my beer? Nah, that's all right.
Right,
Don't worry about that.
We're good.
I had a guy at MMI. I don't know what is it with the guys with the one eyes, but if I had one eye, you'd be damn right I'd be rocking an eye patch.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be walking around with some
badass eye patch.
Yeah, I'd have something like from Goonies or something with like a little fucking jewel in it or something.
Yeah,
like
for
that.
sure.
I wouldn't be walking around with like a glass. I mean, maybe they've come a long ways. Maybe now you can do like eye transplants. I mean, they do face transplants. Why couldn't you do an eye transplant?
Yeah, I'm sure they can.
But there was a guy rocking an open socket in my class, and he'd sat behind me, and you
just want to look.
like, come on, dude. Put something on it. Like, cover it with a piece of paper, or
like
pull your hat down one side.
I sit like this.
Or comb your hair so you got like.
If I'm in public and I see somebody eating and they have like chewing with their mouth open, I want to throw something in their mouth. So if I seen someone with an open eye socket, I'd be like, damn. Tempting.
I mean, you got to. Yeah, and he would just walk around the school with an open. I mean, okay, I understand you're comfortable with it. But come on, man. There's a common decency
what
that we
if a
no
fly
longer
flew
have.
in there? Like, I would have too many like
Yeah,
concerns.
right. I'd be worried that.
I mean, you don't even blink, do you? I mean, I don't know.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's
There'd be
nothing
no
to
reason to
wash
blink,
away
yeah.
there, right? It's just an open socket.
What
Yeah.
if like a bird shit and smacked you right there? I mean,
That's yeah, that's
I mean,
gross.
there's too many options not to have something protecting that.
Yeah, it was brutal. But he had one good eye, so that was good. And I asked him, I said, how'd you lose that eye? He's like, I poked it out in the service with a screwdriver. I was prying something, and it went
flipped back.
I'm like, so you lost your eye in the service, and you poked? He's like, yeah. And then we graduated or
God.
whatever, and then they had the
I
whole.
would come up with a cooler story.
Something.
Yeah.
But he I'd have been like, I got in a fight, some dude knocked it out.
Yeah,
I was in
right.
a bar. He smacked the
Yeah.
fucking pool cue in
Yeah.
half.
I
swung
knocked
it at
12
me.
guys out. The 13th
Yeah.
stuck his thumb in my eye. Something like that.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. and then here's what's really jacked up is we go through whole school time. He doesn't put anything in there. Doesn't wear a cool eye patch. None of that.
Except for graduation.
Except not even graduation.
Oh, wow.
So after graduation, I don't see him. I don't talk to him. I don't hear him. So I'm watching one of these biker build-off disasters on Discovery Channel. And here he is. He's on TV.
Oh my goodness.
With his open eye socket.
Oh,
I mean, you would think, you're on TV.
The producers are like, come on, bro.
He's like walking by going, and then my phone starts blowing up. Did you see Danner? He didn't even put nothing in his eye. I'm like, what? You would think that you're on national TV. You have an opportunity to be seen maybe once in your lifetime.
Yeah.
You want to put your best foot forward? Put an eye patch on. I mean, pirates have them. They're cool.
Fuck everyone.
But to be remembered, he's
I
now
guess
that guy in
yeah.
TV history that walked around with an open eye socket.
That is
So
I guess it's just being yourself, right?
have you seen him on TV since?
I have not.
Okay.
So he
It didn't
probably has
work.
one chance. The best thing that ever happened to the motorcycle industry was those shows went away. So, yeah. And it's so brutal now because kids aren't anywhere near interested in Harley Davidson so much as they are interested in, I don't know, hipster stuff, motorcycling.
Yeah.
Is there hipster motorcycling?
Well, it's the philosophy that nothing is ever new, but they think it's new, so they portray themselves as.
I'm the first one to do this.
Well, yeah, but if you go back, I know a lot of young guys coming up riding, and they're working on their bikes, and they're going to these runs, and they're doing it the right way, like I did when I was a kid, and the guys that I learned from did when they were younger. The difference is that some of them portray it as a new concept, and it's not a new concept. It's a concept that's been going on forever. And then they knock the guys that have been riding, for 100 years. Now they're creeping onto these bigger bikes with a little more creature comfort or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, after a while, it gets kind of rough.
I rode a rigid motorcycle for 20 years,
And it takes its toll.
my body is not better for it. So, I rode Casey's bike home one night.
The Sportster.
Yeah, Black Anal Fury.
That's a beast,
I rode that thing home after a shenanigan-filled night where I blew my clutch out, and he did something that he should not have done. I won't say it because he's not here.
Right.
So he had to get a...
I've heard him tell me, so I know what you're talking about.
He had to get a
but
van ride home, and that was probably the funniest van ride home I'm sure that was ever, because I was pretty sure he was going to get stabbed or cut or something at that point in time. But so I rode that bike home, and I swore to myself I would never ride that thing again because my back and butthole hurt so bad that I was just like, how do you ride this?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to give him credit because he rode for his bachelor party.
Oh yeah, when you guys went to Muddy Roots,
He rode that the whole way, all the way out there, and I had rode it, and I'm thinking, there's just no way he's going to make it. He's going to turn around, he's going to stop.
He's going to have to take a break.
20, 30 miles
Yeah.
to be stopped.
No,
Right?
Nope.
And I was riding next to Harbaugh on that Suzuki, and it was like a 600 or something. And everything was screaming the whole way out there. So I had screaming over here, but the beauty of it was we only had to go so far the first night. We stayed in a hotel. Although we didn't actually stay in the hotel, we sat in the parking lot and drank beer and whiskey in front of dog houses. It was like it's just random stuff that happens with these guys. I mean,
This is a true statement.
Just pure randomness.
Yeah.
You don't even understand how you got there, but you're there,
Yep.
so you might as well enjoy it.
That you're in the moment and you
Right,
start
right.
realizing, where
Yeah.
the fuck
Yeah.
did we end up?
Like we're in the middle of
Then you look around and they're just like, yep,
BFE.
everything's fine.
So you know what the philosophy with these guys is like, okay, we're here. So let's go get some beer and whiskey, and we'll make a party out of it. All right.
Yeah.
So we sat in the parking lot and got just totally shit-faced off of whiskey and Paps while people were getting their dogs and stuff. Like we were in a literal dog show. Like
Convention was going on at that
they had
hotel.
like dog show barrels and dog show and they had dogs in their cars, and we're just sitting in the parking lot on our bikes drinking, waiting. Well, we had to wait for Rob and Pez to show up with the beer because
You were in a dry county,
we were in a dry
right?
county.
Oh, that's
So
horrible.
they had to go out of the dry county and then bring it back. So technically,
Illegal?
we were
Yeah,
in
illegally
the
drinking in a parking lot.
and we didn't even go in the hotel like smart people would have. We just
Yeah.
sat out in the because it was.
Fuck it, right?
It's a nice night.
I don't even remember walking into the hotel to do any sleeping, but I know we did because I went in there and paid for it because I was the best man. So I told Pez not to worry about it because I was funding so his whole situation. So we get into the hotel and I think we get up in the morning and
I think there was a next day.
I
At
think
some
there was
point,
a
we're
next
on our
day.
bikes again.
well, what's funny is we get out and there's a Waffle House right next to it, and so back then, you could actually down south you could still smoke in places.
Yeah.
So we go into this Waffle House, and this is the most surreal thing I think I remember. There was a lot of surreal things of that.
Three-fingered Louie being one of them.
There was so much more than that, but.
I remember hearing about the foot bucket for quite some
Yes,
time.
the foot bucket. So we go into the Waffle House, and me and Pez are sitting there, and we order food, and then everybody else starts trickling in. And the guppy comes in, he sits down, he orders some food, and the guy behind us is just chain smoking like a fiend, one right after the other. I mean, he wasn't stopping, he was puffing, he was going down, doom, doom, doom.
Like using the old cigarette to light
light
the new one.
Yep, and it was just billowing in there, and I'm just like, man, this is so... Because I grew up in smoky bars, and I had been out of them a while, so being in a restaurant trying to eat like that...
And not being a smoker.
And not being a smoker.
Right.
So...
That's got to be hell.
I sit there, and for some reason, I don't know why, they had Michael Jackson on continuous loop. We're in, like, Kentucky or Tennessee somewhere, in a Waffle House with Michael Jackson on continuous loop with a chain smoker behind us. We order our food. The guppy takes 2 bites. He goes, I'm going to go have a cigarette. And I'm thinking, really? What?
You really need that?
So he
right?
goes outside to smoke a cigarette. And then he comes back in. By the way, the food was awful. And he starts, and he takes another bite. And he's like, Casey looks at him. He goes, you know you can smoke in here, right? And the guppy goes, huh? He goes, you know you can smoke in here, right? He goes, oh, I didn't know that. How could you not tell?
Right.
The guy that smoked 2 packs right behind you didn't give it away?
No, and it continued on with that because the next day we made it maybe another 25 or 30 miles, and we had to stop for gas in the morning. So the one guy that's in the whole group that likes to smoke little
Left-handed cigarettes.
fan cigarettes, only guy in the group that does it.
Okay.
Okay.
There can be only one.
There could be only one. So we pull into a gas station, and I think we're in Tennessee by this time. We pull into a gas station to get gas. And it's like out in the boonies. We don't even know where we're at. We just know we're trying to make it to Muddy Roots. We want to get there, get our spot set up, and start having a good time. And this car pulls up, and there's a white dude in the back and a black dude in the front. Nobody's sitting next to either one of them. And they're driving like an old Lincoln Crown Vic or something like that.
Okay. Big boat.
Yeah. So they pull up, and they look at us, like all of us, and then they look right at that guy. He said, I know you're from Detroit. You got that good stuff. How much? The only guy that had it on him, and he knew who he was.
They picked him out like
like
drug-sniffing
that.
dog.
And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. He's like, oh, you know what I'm talking about. How much? He's like, I don't got nothing on me. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, that guy knows. And he was like,
X-ray vision.
The guy's
shit.
like, I got you. And he drove up. I'm like, that dude had a driver, and he was in the back, and there was nobody in between.
And then he pulls up asking the one person.
The one person.
Who may or may not have been holding.
Right. Right.
If he was holding.
If he was holding. And,
wow.
Yeah. So, and then we got to Muddy Roots, and that guy, I think it kind of shook him a little bit because he went in his tent and self-medicated for like the rest of the day. And we didn't see him.
You just got rid of all the evidence.
Got rid of all of it.
That
Yeah.
way I can't get mugged or anything for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of like where I met John was Pez's wedding.
Yeah.
And
I didn't really know any of you guys before the wedding.
all right, yeah. I didn't. He had talked about you, but he hadn't actually said, who you were or whatever, everything. Or he didn't have.
I think we actually met once at the Northline House.
That place was a train wreck.
Maybe once,
Yeah.
because I was over there a handful of times, and there were a bunch of people. Because there was always a bunch of people.
Right.
So,
well, like the motorcycling, like when I first started, that's how I met Pez and Shannon and Tom and all those guys. And I remember the first time I met Casey.
right, nice.
There's
Let's
always
hear
a
it.
story about the first time I met
Well,
Casey.
he rode up on an FXR, and he had this extremely large helmet on, and he was very thin, and he had a little red goatee.
Mm-hmm.
So he pulls up, and I'm thinking, well, the FXR looks like somebody's dad rides it, but it's an FXR. That's a pretty sweet bike,
Right.
So he gets off, and he's got an I Hate Rap Rock T-shirt on.
Yeah.
And he comes into the dealership. And so I asked the service manager, I was like, who's that? He's like, that's I think his name's Casey. We hired him as a porter. I said, all right, that's cool. All right. So for the first month, he didn't say dick to anybody. But you know what he did do? He wore that damn shirt every day. So one day I asked
Sounds
him,
like his MO.
That's about right.
I said, so what's up with the I hate rap rock shirt? And he just gave me a, because I think that's when he was in his, I used to tease him because he would, the music that he listened to. I'm a music connoisseur. That's great. But some of the stuff he would listen to sounded like a guy was trying to coax out a really, really angry shit.
Oh, yeah.
He was on a toilet just dropping it
Oh, yeah.
So I would tease him about it. And then we became friends after that. He bought a bike. I never understood why he didn't get the FXR, but then he bought the Sportster, famously known as Black Anal Fury.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
it's been all downhill since that. Because, I didn't know he had this fascination with Speedos when I first met him. So, the first time I hung out with him over at Northline. I mean, before he started hanging out with Shannon and going to Northline's house, we hang out and get polluted or whatever. I sit there. I was at one of their bonfires, and I feel something on my shoulder, and I turn around, and he's standing there in a Speedo with his boots on, and a wife beater with mustard on it. And that was the first night. That was the first night that Shannon's mom had met him.
Nice.
And he was walking around, and I think Tom's mom was in town, and she stole his Speedo.
Uh-oh.
Tom's mom stole his Speedo. Yeah. So I thought that's the story I heard. Who knows where that thing went? But and I think he hit somebody with a chair that night too. So
all this sounds plausible.
It definitely sounds like the Pez that I've known for eons.
So now, and through him, I've met you, and I've met Rob, and it's funny because I'm so much older than everybody else. I'm closer to 50 in like a year and a half. So
I'll be 40 in a year and a half.
Yeah. So it's like, when I met Shannon, I think she was like 18. So. And Casey wasn't much older than that.
Nope.
So I always say that I hung out with the younger guys because they always made me feel a little younger. Although there were some nights that after hanging out with them, I didn't feel so young. It's some pretty brutal stuff. So yeah. All right, I'll try one of those.
Yeah. What do you want?
What do you got?
We got the Schnozzleberry.
I've had that.
Brown. 45.
I'll do the good humans.
Drink it. You can drink out of the bottle. You can pour some in a glass, whichever you prefer. I killed the black beer.
Yeah, I'll do it in a glass.
The cozy blanket.
You killed the cozy blanket. Okay.
They say that you do once you pour it in a glass, it releases the carbonation or whatever, so that when you do drink it, when you get to a certain age, you guys are about there, your stomach starts going south on you.
Yeah.
And they say once you pour it into a bottle and you get a little bit of a head on it, it releases CO2 so that when you drink it, it doesn't bubble in your stomach so bad.
Oh, well,
that's good to know.
Shit.
I learned that on YouTube.
So for this evening, our beer of the week is multiple.
So it'd be beers.
Beers of the week. We went a little crazy on shorts.
We did. But you can't really blame us.
No.
You got to tell me where you got the shorts beers from, though.
I went to the local Walgreens, and I bought a build-your-own six-pack. And of the six-pack, we want to focus on two of the beers because they were the most delicious, I'd say, maybe.
I was fond
of that fair?
I would say that's fair.
Okay. And the two we had were?
The first one we had was Cozy Blanket.
It tastes just like it sounds.
Yes. Like fall.
I was thinking a little mothy.
A little mothy.
A little smoky.
So, Cozy Blanket has aromas of chocolate and caramel. It's a nitro brown porter with a velvety full-bodied mouthful.
Mm-hmm.
Full-bodied mouthful. Feel shit.
Yeah, he has that voice like he should be on a end of a phone somewhere telling me how dirty of a boy I was
like
earlier.
Pillow
today.
talk.
Yeah.
In my younger years, one of my aspirations in life was to be the guy on the recordings, English to Spanish. When you're learning,
Spanish.
I can understand it.
That's what everybody says. If you watch enough Spanish,
the time spent in Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely, it's true.
Yeah.
I used to know Spanish too a little bit. I used to know Spanish.
If people are talking, I know what they're talking about.
I could count to 10.
I can tell you some stories about my Spanish inquisitions.
Ven conmigo.
What
I'm
was
going to the library today. Come with me.
What was the second one that we picked out of the 5?
The second one is Good Humans.
Good Humans.
It's a dry hop double brown ale. We're
okay.
humans.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was all right.
We're fans of brown ale.
We
yes. Brown ales, porters, stouts. We can't all be Casey and his IPA garbage.
That guy's crazy with it, dude.
Even
Even
then he'll
when he's
tell you
not
like,
spilling it.
Yeah, the Cascade hops in this are really standing out, and you're like, shut up.
Yeah, he talks about it, and it's like, really? I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to sit down and explain
Can
to
you
me.
taste this? No,
He tried to explain to me his beer philosophy one night, and I'm just, I'm thinking, it's beer, dude.
Right. Drink it.
I drink it. I don't
Just
know.
drink it.
I don't know. Yeah, I understand. You're a genius.
Right.
But it's lost on me.
You can get snobby, but I'm not going to keep
You're
up.
a beer snob. Well, we went out and drank Final Absolution. That was the first time I think I'd ever had.
Episode 3.
Yeah. Oh, God. I got so sick off of that. I think I barfed up part of a liver.
If you go back through our catalog of episodes, you'll notice that episode 3 is not there.
Is that a Final Absolution episode?
Yep.
It was.
That and we didn't click a button, but it was the combination of two things.
Yeah,
yes.
that beer will mess you up.
It's like 15%, dude.
It's brutal.
It will kick in real quick.
It took us a while to learn that any beer that we have on the show, we should try to limit to like 7% or below.
Yeah, we learned a lot about beer on our mini bike racing days, and because we used to do the mini bike racing and used to have to stop and grab a beer after every lap. We learned that after 10 laps you could drink a beer. After 20 laps, that beer wasn't going down so good.
Nope.
Our first race was 50 laps, and we had to drink like 5 beers after every 10 lap. That was not good.
Dragon's Milk was not a good choice.
I think the first one we did, we had like Trout Slayer and some other garbage like that. It was just awful beers. And Moose Drool. That's a good
name.
That's a bad beer. That's a bad beer.
With a good name.
Good name. Good name, bad beer.
If they had good packaging and I walked by and said, "Oh, Moose Drool." Yep, come with me.
Oh God. It's just a moose standing in a river.
Nah.
I mean, we can see that anywhere.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, the only thing I ever drank, like, how you have those points in your life where you drink something and you get so sick off of it that just the smell of it or the name of it just gets you to that point. Well, we went to a party, and we're talking 80s party, so we came up with these dumb games to play. And one of the games was called Up and Down the River. I don't know if you guys have ever played that.
No. Can't say I have.
No.
You take an ice cube tray, and then everybody
start.
gets straws, and then you got a quarter. And what you would do is you would bounce the quarter like you're playing quarter bounce.
Okay.
And if it landed on the left side, you started from the bottom with your straw, and you drank up to where the quarter landed. If it landed on the right side, you drank down to where it landed.
Okay.
So, and
What
most
would you
people
put in the?
in theory, you should probably only put beer.
Yeah, that would be the wise thing.
Right. Well, when you're, a kid and you don't know any better, the first thing you do is you grab a bottle of Jack Daniels and you line that shit up. And all it takes is 2 bounces of the quarter, and you're
Done.
You're done.
Right.
I mean,
You just
'cause
did an
those are
ice
like-
tray full of
yeah,
Jack Daniels,
and you're like-
you're having a good night.
and it's like
Probably.
I watched a guy do that, and he bounced it and landed at the top. So he did with a straw, and the straw is probably the worst part of that
Yeah.
whole situation because, I mean, come on.
You
How
can't
quickly can
slam
you
it,
put
right?
that?
You gotta. Was it a standard ice cube tray?
Yeah,
like 10
like-
on each side.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Death Trap ice cube
It's
tray
the
where it was
80s
the
ice
steel
cube
one where it's
tray,
like shit flies everywhere. This was just the plastic, whatever. Like when they first decided they could do plastic instead
Right,
of the ones
yeah.
that would chop
Those
your
were
fingers
deep
off.
ice cube trays too. Back
They were
in the
not
day.
fucking around.
Yeah.
Now they're only about
Half,
yay
yeah.
big, but
I remember.
I watched the guy do that, and I swear to God, he blew out his liver. I mean, he barfed that chunk of liver right up, and right there on the table, and then passed out. And I never seen the guy again. And he would hang out with us. He was like one of these guys who just like want to hang around with
was
the
a
group of
regular.
guys I was hanging
Right.
with. So he would be like, "Oh yeah, you guys are pulling all the chicks. You got all these parties are great. I'm hanging out. All right." Did that. Never saw him again.
Wow.
And he didn't even come to school again. Like, I don't know.
He
if
left
he
the
just
state.
he just said, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm gonna go ahead and
Move to
live in my
Utah.
parents' basement and stay there.
Become Mormon.
He could have
Just give
spent
that
the
up.
next 3 years in a coma. Who
He
the
could've,
fuck
yeah.
knows?
Yeah. It was brutal.
What happened that night when he passed out? You just left him there? Or?
What if that was like?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there was some penises drawn on his face, and I'm thinking a pack of hot dogs came out and everybody stuck a hot dog in there,
Yeah.
smacking him on the face while everybody's taking pictures of. I mean, if you had a phone or something back then, camera phone, it was probably going to be really brutal.
Ouch.
But everybody had to kind of run around and look for a Polaroid
right.
camera.
Waved it out.
Or
make
one of
sure
the little disposable cameras, and those were the worst thought of anybody ever. Disposable cameras, before everybody's phone had a camera, those were the great things.
Oh,
And, people always thought, oh, it'd be great to just throw these cameras on a table at a party or at a wedding or something.
How many dick pics and fucking pictures
Oh
of
my
assholes
God,
have you fucking?
Mm-hmm.
We had a buddy of ours got married, and one of those cameras, somebody's mother made a suggestion that we should take a picture of our butthole with it. So we were like, all right, well, that started the chain reaction.
We can do that.
of some pretty vulgar pics. I mean, and then what really happened with it was they knew which camera it was and they threw it away. Well, someone stealthed the camera
out of the trash.
No, off the table where Grandma was at.
Oh.
Where Grandma was taking pictures, and she set it down to go get a drink. So someone stealthed
Swapped
that
it.
camera, ran in the John, took
Oh,
a picture, brought it back, gave it to Grandma. So Grandma's taking pictures, and they're thinking, "Oh, this is great. No problem with this camera." Take it to Walmart to get the pictures taken, and they're like, "Oh, this is so. Oh, there's a penis." Ah! Shit goes south. Grandma's all upset. Then he comes into work like, "Which one of you MFers took that dick pic?" I don't know what you're talking about. It's got a mole on it. I know one of you guys got a mole on it. And then,
Line up.
yeah, that's what he wanted to do. It's like, oh, come on, man. It's not that big a deal.
No.
Relax. So, it's pretty awesome.
That's funny.
Oh, jeez.
Good old dick pics. Just so you guys know, I want to do a public service announcement.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
If you ever go on Netflix and see a movie called Tales from the Hood 2, do not watch that
Don't
movie.
watch it? Okay.
That is the worst movie
I've
ever.
seen promotion for it.
Don't do it. Don't.
I remember
David
Tales from the
Keith,
Hood,
love
but-
David Keith,
Yeah.
but don't watch that movie.
Bad?
That is the worst movie I have ever seen in my entire life.
Okay, I challenge you to
Okay.
watch a movie,
All right.
and I would like to know if you would still have that verdict.
Okay. I've seen some pretty horrible ones.
You may have already seen this one. I don't know. It's called Solar Babies.
Yes, I have seen Solar Babies. That is a great 80s movie. With the roller skating?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The
That's
special needs
awesome.
kid who gets fixed by the alien orb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Solar Babies was a staple
Really?
of Saturday night viewing at the VHS store on the corner. If Solar Babies was available, you were renting Solar Babies.
Wow, you were the first human that I've
have
interacted with that has watched that movie.
I have a well of useless information when it comes to 80s movies. I'll challenge you one up.
Especially because he was a little older than
Yeah,
we
he was
are
actually
for
there.
that era,
Yeah.
right?
I will challenge you. I'll two up you. Okay?
Oh, all right.
So there's a genre of movies out there that's low budget and pretty much stupid. But if you ever get an opportunity, I will challenge you to watch it and then tell me how you feel afterwards. Okay?
Okay.
The first one is Thanksgiving 3.
Thanksgiving 3.
Yes, Thanksgiving 3.
Don't worry about 1 and 2. Just skip over 1 and 2.
There
We
is
don't
no-
need them.
There is no one.
There is no
Oh,
one and
okay,
two.
okay.
There's Thanksgiving 3.
Thanksgiving 3.
Okay.
Okay. In anything from the Ginger Dead Man series.
Ginger Dead Man.
Ginger Dead Man. Think Chucky, but as a gingerbread man.
I may have seen that.
I haven't.
That's striking a
Gingerbread.
chord.
Ginger Dead Man series.
Yes.
All right, I got notes.
Yes.
Would the Ginger Dead Man say early to mid 90s would have been on USA Up All Night type caliber movie?
These movies probably would not have been because
Okay.
they're pretty stupid.
Well,
Well, not just stupid, but they're pretty brutal.
okay.
And
Okay.
but I mean, those are just dumb movies that you want. Like, I'm a dumb movie connoisseur. I love dumb movies.
Oh, they're great.
Because mindless entertainment is
If
the
you can
best
laugh at
entertainment. Plus, if you can sit there and go, this is the dumbest movie I've ever watched. Chances are, you're going to try and find something that's just as
beat
dumb.
that,
To beat,
yeah.
Because, for years, people have always said the worst movie ever produced from my era was Krull.
Yeah, right. Liam Neeson's first movie?
That was a great movie. I loved Krull. I mean, the demon in it was a little goofy, but I mean, he was like huge, but he wasn't.
The thing that
I
threw
don't
me
think
off
I've
was the
seen
giant head fortress that floated around.
Yes, yes,
that
that
was a
movie,
bit
that
weird,
was-
like
yeah.
the chick standing in the ear and
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. That was, but hey, you got to take
Yeah.
what you can get with movies nowadays because everything is so overproduced. Like
Yeah.
I can't watch these Avenger movies
it's all
anymore
CGI.
because everything is just so brutal. I mean, I
haven't seen any of them.
like the days when shit was the puppets and people had imaginations in movies. Like I'll go and watch like on Saturday nights on MeTV. I don't know if you guys ever watched Svengoolie. He plays. I love
I've heard of it.
Svengoolie. He
Yeah.
is awesome, and he plays. He's got the shtick and the cheese and
yeah.
and the movies are just.
They call
stupid.
him the Ghoul, right?
No, he's
That's a
Sven
different
Gulli.
guy.
That's a different guy. Okay,
The Ghoul,
okay.
the
okay.
Ghoul was from the
Gotcha.
70s and the
Yeah,
80s.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
Sven Gulli is like he's out of I want to say Illinois.
Okay.
He's got a rubber chicken. Kind of looks like Alice Cooper a little bit. He
got a
plays
rubber
cheesy movies, and he's got the stupid sense of humor. But he plays like
the Ghoul was from Detroit area.
Yeah,
Each state had their own guy,
Okay.
and
monster movies.
yeah,
The art of the monster movie has gone away. By the way,
false.
Was this
Well,
before Elvira or after her?
She was a later
Okay,
product.
okay.
She tried to revive that and went more mainstream with it.
Gotcha. Brought her tits to the game.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was that Rhonda Shear Up All Night.
Yep.
And there was the Ghoul. The Ghoul was from the 70s, and he was rehashed in the 80s. And there was a son of Sven Gulli, which
Yeah.
actually
He's
the
still-
son of Sven Gulli is Sven Gulli. He's the same dude. Richard Kaz. He's the same guy. He took over the Sven Gulli moniker from the guy that originally did it, and he was like a 70s hippie dude. So,
But then he turned it into the crazy with the
yeah,
paint and the hat and the.
and he's I'm a connoisseur of monster movies. I love monster movies, and I'm talking like classics. A monster movie for me isn't like what was this one with John Goodman where they were in that bomb shelter.
Oh, Cloverfield?
Yeah, that's not a
yeah.
monster
No.
movie to me. But the sense of the Alfred Hitchcockiness where you never really seen
the suspense.
the suspense
Yeah.
of it was
Yeah.
cool. But for monster movies, it's like monster. Like I
The
think the last
giant
great
50-foot
monster
radioactive
movie
ant and
was the remake of The Thing in like '82. For me, that
John
was
Carpenter's.
Yeah,
Yeah, love it.
that was the last great monster movie because that even though it was an alien, it was still kind of like a monster
Yeah.
or whatever. But they don't make monster movies like they used to. It's like now it's everything slash and hack and garbage like that. And once you've seen a chick run through a field and fall down 4 times and somebody chasing you with a steady clip of a walk,
Right.
you've seen them all.
The like Svengoolie in that there's a big movement online of those shows where you can go to their websites and they stream like every night.
Yeah, they got a monster channel where you can actually go and watch these guys do their shtick with their comedy. And I like wholesome comedy. I'm not a, for me, the comedy genius was Eddie Murphy and Delirious.
Oh, yeah.
That was comedy genius for me. I mean, I laughed so I would listen to that album over and over. And anything from Richard Pryor, early Richard
Pryor had some good shit. Yeah.
So anything that was edgy comedy. But
Yeah.
like I watched Young Frankenstein, and I still laugh at that movie.
How can you not?
Yeah, it's just it's dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's
So as far as horror movies go,
as far as horror movies.
do you
go.
vote in our polls?
I watch your polls, and I have not voted in any of them because
No?
I'm not tech savvy. Yet,
Oh,
so.
well.
But some of the I don't know who won your horror poll or
It's not over yet.
We're
Actually, round 4 just started when this show aired.
Yeah.
And where are we at with that?
We got The Exorcist against Nightmare on Elm Street.
Exorcist scared the bejesus out of me as a kid.
Okay.
The only part that scared me is when the mom's walking into the kitchen and the neon demon faces flicker when the lights go.
Yeah, the
That was the
problem.
creepiest
The problem
part.
with that movie when it came out was, it scared me because I was a little guy when I seen it, but the philosophy of demon possession, You know, plus I was just kind of
The
getting
thought of it.
The thought of it, plus I was getting into Dungeons and Dragons. So he scared the shit out of me because I thought maybe I was going to be playing this game.
She rolled a
You
natural
were
one.
drumming up
she's
a
fucked.
demon.
and then they came out with that movie Dungeons and Dragons where the dudes were running around in like the catacombs or something playing
Yep.
a game, and all of a sudden they became whatever. And then the cartoon came out and what. But yeah, Exorcist was probably the scariest movie I ever seen as a child.
Okay.
The dumbest movie, I'll go ahead and tell you, the dumbest concept movie I think I've ever seen, Jaws.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, you don't want to get bit by a shark? Stay out of the water. That movie's over
True.
at that point.
True.
That movie is over.
There's
at
no
that
more
point.
suspense.
There's no more suspense.
Just stay out of the water.
There's just stay out of the water. You know what? And
Don't
eventually
go to summer camp.
he will swim away.
Right, fly a helicopter and drop meat every 50 yards, and
Yeah.
the shark will follow the trail.
That shark's going to hang out for a little bit. It's going to do what sharks do.
It's gonna
and
go.
to swim off. But you want to sit there and antagonize it. That's your story.
Right.
Not that the shark is a problem, that you're a problem.
Put a boat in the water.
'Cause you
and
put a
shoot
boat in the
flares
water.
at it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I remember sitting in the movie theater thinking this is the dumbest movie I've ever seen because you know what? I fish. If I didn't want to get eaten by a shark, I'm not going in the water.
True.
I've seen sharks in the water. Guess what? I leave.
I don't go
that
in the water.
movie
Right, right.
would have been so far over. But it goes back to the concept. I thought sharks were going to be more of a problem growing up. I thought quicksand was going to be more of a problem growing up.
Yeah. Quicksand was a big one. Like, you've seen it everywhere. Like, oh, fuck, I got to keep an eye out for this shit.
Yeah, you'd be riding through the woods on your bike and be like, "Oh, is that quicksand?"
It could be under that pile of leaves.
I mean, and then you played like quicksand in your living room as a kid, so you couldn't like jump down on the ground, jump around on the cushions and shit like that. And you're like, no, don't burn me.
We also have Friday the 13th against Poltergeist.
That's a tough one.
Poltergeist is a good movie. Friday the 13th were always, whatever. I didn't get into those.
The original one. I don't remember how long it's been since I've seen it, so
yeah,
whatever.
I get them all confused.
I know
Michael
what it is, right?
And Freddy, and then they all got in like an argument and fought in a couple movies.
Right.
Two of them. Freddy
Right,
Chaser.
right.
It's like
when Hollywood was like, "What do we do now?
like, what are we done with them? We can't do anything else. Let's just rehash them and have them fight
Bring
each other.
Freddy back from the dead. Bring Michael Myers. Yeah, right.
Let's go ahead and get the philosophy of like superheroes fighting each other. We'll get the slash and hacker guys, and we'll just put them in a ring and just let them go at each other.
You mentioned Chucky earlier.
Yes,
That was we have Child's Play against Hellraiser,
Hellraiser was another one of those scary ass movies.
and then Halloween against Silence of the Lambs.
I'd vote Halloween.
Yeah, I would.
Halloween will
go
probably
with
win just
Halloween.
because of what it is, but
Silence of the Lambs.
It was a creepy movie.
yeah.
But funny thing, I'll have to.
no, you're good.
Ginger Dead Man
Yeah.
has a scene from Silence of the Lambs in it.
Really?
Put on someone's face.
Yeah, it's a prison full of pastries. They're like angry, suicidal pastries. She walks by like one cell and there's like an eclair there, and it's like going to town, and then it shoots
filling.
filling on her. It's like, and they got the Ginger Dead Man in like a mask, like Hannibal Lecter. It's pretty funny. It's it's comical in the sense that it's the stupidest thing you've probably seen that day, but you'll watch it.
No, yeah.
It's I always say
I wrote it down. I'm going to check it out. I'll
I-
find it somehow.
I always say people will ask you if you want to see it. Always say yes. Always say yes, because you will be surprised at what you will see.
Right.
Like we were out on one of our little trolling walkabouts or whatever, and we were in a bar in Columbus, and the bar. We walked in there, and it was supposed to be a gentleman's club.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Well, in Columbus, everybody's got to wear pasties, even the dudes, I would imagine. But so we go into the bar thinking this is going to be some extravagant thing. Now, I should have known it was 2:00 in the afternoon, so the lunch crowd was probably
Oh, shit.
so lunch talent was probably going to be
C
there.
Squad.
So, the lady behind the bar, she's
Spaghetti buffet in the corner.
yeah,
All
good
you
stuff
can eat.
right there. All you can eat, 99-cent buffet. So the lady at the bar is like, "Hey, you want a beer?" Yeah. And she's probably, I don't know, 55, 60 years old. She wasn't awful looking, you could tell she'd been in the bar for a long
Right.
time.
No.
Probably the
And,
owner.
She was in her element.
So the jukebox starts playing, and we're sitting in there like,
Was it also
where's
Michael
all?
Jackson?
So no, unfortunately, no. So we're waiting for like the entertainment because they said girls on staff. Thinking, all right, what's
Well,
that?
they technically didn't lie if the bartender's a chick.
Funny story about that. So she goes ahead and she gives us all
wasn't
these.
a lady at all.
Oh, she was a lady. So she gives us all these gives us our beers and stuff, and she goes, "All right, I'll be right back." So we're sitting, at the bar, And I noticed as I looked over to my right, there was a door at the end of the bar. Not a big door, but a door. I just thought it was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen at the end of a bar.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like, here's the top of the bar, and then the door went like that. So you could walk right out the door onto the bar. So the door opens.
Like a laundry.
No,
One of those old
Like a
elevators.
Yeah,
No,
like if somebody was going to deliver beer from the top, they would bring it down, and then they were going to slide open the door, and then
just
you were going to
slide the bottles
and you were
out
gonna
on the
get,
bar,
But it was,
right.
it was probably a good 4 or 5
Like a Hobbit
feet.
door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let him continue. You
So-
see where this is going.
Yeah.
So the door opens, and she ducks out and comes out, and she's dancing on the bar. She's like 50 years old, and she's got her top on.
Welcome to Columbus.
And and she's just going to town, and me and my buddy are sitting there, and we're like, oh my god. And she looks me dead in the eye, and she goes, you want to see him? And I'm like,
yeah.
yeah. So
No
she whips
shame.
them bad boys out, and
No
we're like,
shame.
all right. She goes, another round for everybody. I'm like, this chick's pretty cool, whatever. So we go ahead and have another round. I tip her pretty good because she had some moves for an old lady.
Right.
I mean,
It wasn't her first rodeo.
I
Was
asked
the
her,
round on you?
Yes, the round was on me. Absolutely, it was brutal. But you know what? I learned something about myself that day.
Hey.
If somebody asks me if I want to see it, chances are I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. Especially if it's, yeah. I
Only in
challenge you
Ohio.
to say no.
Very few things you don't want to see in this world, right?
Yeah.
Experience it all. This podcast, I'll be honest with you. When you first said you were doing a podcast, I'm like, who the hell is going to go on your podcast? Here
same thing.
Here I am doing a podcast. And you know what? Though, like I said, when I listened to the first one, and then
Rough.
Yeah, that's rough.
and I was like, oh yeah, they're getting it. They're figuring it out.
rough.
I see what you're doing.
And then I listened to a couple more, and you can tell the progression. You can hear it in your guys' voice and how you talk and how you interact with your guests when you have guests and those types of things. And I think you have a good concept of finding people that just want to tell a story, even if it's just a story about grandma.
Appreciate it, sir.
I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Come
Thank
back
you so
whenever
much.
you're ready.
I will.
Before we get out of here, we want to give a quick heads up to the listeners in New York. Our buddy Tony Vasic is going to be headlining some comedy appearances this weekend coming up. Saturday on October 20th, he's going to be at the Broadway Comedy Club in Manhattan. And then on Sunday, the 21st, he'll be at Dangerfields in Manhattan.
Nice.
Both shows start at 8 p.m. So anybody in the area, New York, the Manhattan area,
Looking
please
for a good time?
check out Tony Vasic and the comedy shows that he's performing in.
You will
He's-
not be disappointed, folks.
He's actually going to be on next week to tell us about the experience. And then one other thing I wanted to say real quick before we get out of here is to Chris. I just spent $6 on 4 apples because they were Sweet Tango.
You got some sweet tangos?
I got some Sweet Tangos from Kroger.
Oh, shit.
It was a poundage price.
Really?
And I got 4 apples. I put them in a bag. It was about $5.95, I think, for the
Okay.
apples. But
not
according to
horrible,
Chris
but-
and somebody else, they're the best apples you can eat. So I'm looking forward to that.
So we'll have that review.
Next week, I'll have a review for the apples.
You're really dragging the bottom of the barrel of doing an apple review.
Well, Chris was on last week, and he had a podcast that he follows, and they did an apple review, good and bad. And
Chris
it was-
who?
My cousin Chris,
Oh,
our
okay.
cousin Chris Lloyd,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
It was
a
hilarious.
lot of apples that this guy reviewed, and Sweet Tango was voted the best. So I saw him in the store, and I was like, "Fuck it, let's see what's going
Sweet
on."
Tango.
Sweet Tango apples,
That's a great name for a band.
right?
80s hair metal.
It's not quite Pink Twinkus, but it's close.
Holy shit, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that the other day. Not that I was thinking about Pink Twinkus, but I was thinking about Pink Twinkus. I was like,
led me to
I
the
wonder what
band.
happened to that band. Never got off the ground.
One solo record.
Yeah, it was done.
That
One
was
and
it.
done. One and done. You know what? Hey,
Quit when you're ahead.
all you need is one shot, one hit. That's it. You can live forever on that,
Yep.
right?
Yep, if we're lucky. Well, we want to say thank you to the listeners.
As always.
Thank you to Shorts Brew for all the beers we sampled tonight. We only talked about a couple of them, but
We'll
it
list
was,
the others.
in fact, a build your own six pack, and it got dicey. We want to thank Ken for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
It's been
it,
a
man. Yeah, it's been fun.
pleasure. Yeah, professional yarn spinner. That's what I do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Come back again.
Absolutely. I got a whole ton of other ones. I
I'm
think
sure you
something-
do.
Sooner or later, I'll remember something.
So
It's gonna be a cold ride home.
Yeah, it is. You're on the bike too. It's going to be cold.
It'll be all right.
Yeah, everybody, keep an eye out for people on motorcycles.
Absolutely.
Please, come on. Listen for the pipes.
Pay attention.
Let's
Put
go.
the phone down.
We will see you all next week.
Episode 49.
Vote in the polls.
Peace.
People are so damn weird.